All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back on another Saturday. My name is Felix. I am also known as the Asian Goalie. You're currently tuning in for the Asian Goalie Show. The mission of the show is to create the most impactful platform for beer league goalies to learn, share, and collaborate. This Twitch channel is the one and only live channel where I collaborate with others and have live interaction with all of you. So if you don't want to miss any future live experience, consider clicking on that follow button. And if you're watching this from YouTube, don't forget to click subscribe if you have not done so. Today is the third episode of this month's theme, which is the story behind the Go Camp, where I invite beer league goalie YouTubers on the show to share their journey being a video content creator, and we'll get to know more about their stories as well. And our guest today, we have Bert, also known as Goalie on YouTube. Unlike other goalies I have invited to the show, Bert is actually a professional sports cinematographer and video editor, and he has have extended experience in hockey, roller skate hockey as well. So very happy to have him here. So before I introduce him here, just to remind everybody, this is an Ask Us Anything or Ask Me Anything environment where you are part of the show, not just me and my guests, but you can also participate in this chat that we have as well. So just simply use the chat box on the right side if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to talk about on any topics that we talk, or any questions. I'll bring it up. We'll talk about it with Bert together. All right, Bert.
Yes, sir.
Are you here with us?
How's it going, Felix?
Very great. Thank you for joining us. I know you're in the middle of moving.
Yeah.
You're still doing this. You have been very helpful preparing for me on this show as well. I really appreciate you jump on.
Yeah, man, it's a great show. I'm really excited to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Great. I just want to start off with the questions of just before jumping onto your profession, but want to get more about kind of your experience being a hockey goalie in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did you start
Sure.
it and where you are now?
Yeah, right on. I remember back even before high school playing in the streets in my neighborhood with some Milek pads that I bought at Modell's, and very specifically playing in my friend's driveway with tennis balls. And that's kind of how it started. Baseball glove and some old blocker I think I found, and a forward stick, just because of the love of the game. And I think all that kind of got in my mind because I remember hearing a story of Patrick Waugh growing up and strapping pillows to his legs and jumping up and down in his bed. And
Yeah.
I thought that was just a really cool thing, and yeah, that's kind of where it all started. I mean, from there, I didn't get to play in high school. I didn't get to play any hockey in high school. I was a swimmer and a diver. But luckily, my fellow diver on the team, his name's Jeff.
Yeah.
We used to go to his house after school because swim practice didn't start until like 5 or 6 o'clock, and school ended at like 2:45 or something like that. And we would do exactly that, strap on the pads and play in his backyard and play lacrosse. And ultimately, he became one of the biggest reasons that I actually play hockey in general, not just goaltending.
So what during that time, were you a hockey fan, or do you have any knowledge about hockey at all, or how's that?
Yeah, I grew up in
across?
Philadelphia, man. The Flyers were life. It was a big part of my life. I watched every game. My dad loves the Flyers. We watched a lot of games together. I mean, I think if you're a sports fan or not a sports fan in Philadelphia, it's kind of tough. There's a lot to love. There's a lot of good teams there. I mean, Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, anything you want, especially the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles are,
True.
There's a lot of green and silver in Philadelphia just because everybody loves the Eagles.
So sports is the big thing, but is hockey the big thing for you, or is that kind of you kind of like watch everything?
I mean, I mostly watched hockey. It was hockey,
Okay.
baseball, and then like everything else. Like I really, I never got into basketball. I thought football was great when we could hang out with people and watch, but I was watching a lot of Flyers games, and my dad still watches every Flyers game. So that's the one bad thing about living in Las Vegas, is that getting East Coast games is really difficult unless you spend a lot of money for the NHL package.
Mm, mm. Fair enough. Fair enough. And you started playing hockey after you got influenced by your friend Jeff. And did you get started with playing on ice, or you started with like where did you start it?
Yeah, I didn't really start goaltending on in a competitive fashion until college. When I got there, I heard there was a roller hockey team, and I went to a couple club meetings, and then I went to a couple practices, and bought skates and immediately fell in love with it. I knew I wanted to play hockey. I just wasn't sure I could afford not only the equipment but the time to play ice hockey, because ice hockey practices were like 6 a.m. every day, and sorry, I'm just don't want to do that. I love hockey and I love playing hockey, but my first real love for competitive hockey was roller hockey. Yeah. So I started playing. I went to Drexel University in Center City, Philadelphia, and the Drexel Roller Hockey Club was really my first introduction to playing competitive hockey.
Okay. Okay. What competitive level did you get to? Like, is like if you were to describe kind of where you were.
So that was a club sport. It was a club sport, but there was a lot of club sports. Like we played like Penn State University, which had a lot bigger campus size and a lot bigger student body. So they had a much better team. So in the area, it was really competitive just between each other. The level that we played at was certainly not professional or anything like that, but it was, everybody was at that same level. So it was very competitive, and it was a lot of fun. Like we had, I had 4 or 5 great years of playing hockey there. And yeah, it was awesome.
Got it. And when did you transition into ice hockey?
So I graduated. I played like once or twice with like a pair of borrowed skates, because I had decent enough equipment that I could play ice hockey, just for the level of protection that I needed playing in college. Like it's a plastic puck, but it hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I had the equipment. I just didn't have skates. And a friend of mine lent me a pair of skates that he eventually gave me. That kind of fit me. So I stepped on the ice a couple times, but it wasn't until after I graduated, I got in touch with my friend, that same friend, Jeff, who was in an ice hockey league locally to Philadelphia. And I started playing in that, which was the Del Val Men's Hockey League, which is actually, I think, the only full contact Czech league in like that tri-state area. Like there wasn't a men's league that was a Czech league.
Like you could.
Oh yeah. Hitting. Yeah. Full on hitting in a men's league.
Okay.
So I got involved in that, and I played that for a long time, but that wasn't until I was like 22 or 21 or 22. There was a brief period where I was only playing beer league roller hockey, which I had a lot of fun with. We were sponsored by a bar. So of course it was so difficult playing hockey and then having to go to the bar after the game. It was so tough. But that was a good time. And I played that for a few years and then stuck straight in with ice. Once I figured out that I wasn't overheating from heat exhaustion of roller hockey, and I was able to actually butterfly slide, because you just can't do that in roller hockey. So I just had a lot more fun with ice.
That was the question I want to ask, is like, what was the biggest difference that you felt transitioning from roller to ice? What was the biggest thing? Movement.
Like it's all T pushes. There's no shuffle in roller. It's all T pushes. Like there's no way that you can scrape the top, because it's rubber wheels. Like it's great grip, and you could jump and move really quickly side to side as you could, but there's no shuffling. Like it's very difficult to shuffle, and if there's a pass across, it's pretty difficult to get there. But I think like that kind of honed me into a way of playing hockey where it made me a little bit quicker, because I had to be further back in the crease in order to get across. It's a totally different game. I mean, it really is.
Is there a particular reason why you stick with ice but not going back to roller? Like, is that a particular thing that...
I don't know. I think it was just... I had a pair of these custom-made roller hockey goalie skates, and it was like a CCM cowling with the big protect all boot, and then I had riveted 5-wheel big thick Lebeda chassis with these little tiny 5 wheels on them. And I remember I was moving out of an apartment in Philadelphia, and I just kind of left them there. I kind of said I had enough of roller hockey. These would be cool on a mantle one day because they're kind of one of a kind. And back then, nobody had skates like that. But I left them there, and I just said I'm never playing roller hockey again. So for me, I think it's so hot. It gets so hot playing roller hockey. I can't stand it. I just.
Oh, so it's getting really hot because it's not ice. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
So
it's just not cooled down. Yeah, you get. Oh man, it's you want to lose weight, you should be a goaltender of roller hockey. I could say that.
What would you say the difference of the gears that you use in roller and ice? Like, is there a main difference? Is it more padding and less padding?
I would say not really. No, I mean, I don't think there's regulations in roller hockey, so you could probably still use the same old size gloves and pads and things like that. But I remember I had this really long sled that at my house that I cut up and strapped to the insides of my pads in order to get a little bit more butterfly slide movement. It didn't really work. It didn't work as well as I'd wanted it to, but to have it on the inside of your foot on the pads was incredibly helpful just for like quick movements or like having to make like breakaway saves and things like that. So as far as differences in equipment, I used the same equipment in roller than I did in ice. I mean, the puck still hurts, man. It moves a little different. I think in roller, the puck curves left and right, but in ice, the puck moves up and down when it's shot really hard.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's really interesting to know. That's really
one difference I've noticed. Yeah.
I heard something along the line. I don't know if I'm right because I never play roller, but there are some special wax that you can use that you can put on the side of the pads that could help you to slide better. Have you heard about it?
There was, yeah. That is a good idea until you slide and then it gets in the crease and then you step on it and it's on your wheels.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know, it's a good idea. It works once and then you're in trouble and then you can't get back up.
You can't get. Got it.
You can make that first save and it's amazing and it looks cool because you slid all the way across the crease, but you're never making another save for the rest of the game.
Yeah. I have a very curious question because knowing your background in roller skate, but I don't see any roller footage on your YouTube channel. Like, is it because you started YouTube channel after you just ditched roller, or Yeah,
this was a long time ago. I probably haven't played roller hockey in, I would say, like 10 years. I mean, probably more than that, probably like 12 years. Like once I switched to ice and got rid of those skates, I had never had an intention to ever step on there again. I would probably play in my sneakers if I got the choice to play like ball hockey or deck hockey. I would play that before I would play roller hockey again.
Gotcha. Okay, that's really interesting. So I think I also have a pretty interesting question about kind of your background, knowing that you have the mechanical engineering background, you study that, and now you're working as a professional cinematographer. How did you make that transition? Like why you made that transition?
Sure. When I was a engineer in Philadelphia, it was very military, straight-laced, numbers and letters, and everything was serious. So I wasn't exactly, there was no outlet to be creative. There was no creativity behind the job. It was one or the other. It was ones and zeros. So I did a lot of improv comedy in Philadelphia. I studied improv for about 5 years in Philadelphia and performed a lot on stage and did a lot of just fun stuff where you just make things up with your friends on stage. And it was pretty successful. I was with the Philly Improv Theater for a while on one of their house teams called Asteroid. And we had a blast for that for about 5 years. And then that kind of led me into creative writing and making fun videos, whatever they were, whatever the audience was. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just making it up as I went along. But then I got to produce a commercial for like a food truck. And I thought that was the funnest thing I've ever done in my life. And like I said, I got laid off in engineering. And I had a friend of mine who had a video production company out here. And it was way bigger than anything I had imagined. But with the mechanical engineering background, there's a position called camera assistant, which is the person who builds the camera and make sure there's batteries and changes the lenses and make sure all the cables are all wound up together and everything's clean. The job of an assistant cameraman is to make sure the cameraman is totally comfortable in what they're doing. So I
So
found
like
a lot of
assistant.
work doing that. And doing that for me was really natural because I understand how things work. I know how to take things apart and put them back together. And for me, like being an assistant cameraman was the first step to being a cinematographer.
So sounds like you're a very creative person, or you like creative stuff to begin with. How did
Mm-hmm.
you get into mechanical engineering? Like, was it because of your parents, your family? How's that happen in the
I
first
was the
place?
first person in my family to graduate from college. And for
Mm.
me, I was always good at math and science. In high school, those were all my A's. In English and social studies and stuff like that, whatever, B's and C's, whatever. But math and science, I always excelled at. And I
Mm.
specifically remember going to a meeting with my guidance counselor, like junior year of high school or senior year of high school, whatever. And she said, "What are you going to do? You're going to go to college, right?" Yeah, sure, I'll go to college. Yeah, yeah. What are you going to do? I don't know. Why don't you try? I see your math and science scores are high. Why don't you try engineering? What's engineering?
Mm.
I didn't even know. And once I got into it and figured out kind of what it was, I realized that designing things on a mechanical level was really interesting to me, like figuring things out. I love to figure things out. I love to just put things together, take them apart, and learn how they work. So I think engineering was interesting to me just because that's even the subjects in school. That's really what interests me to begin with.
Got it. That is a very, to me, is a very great combination, because I never met someone who are like a nerdy engineer, like one and zeros. At the same time, they have the creativity in them to figure things out, to create something new. I think that's a very unique combo from my experience, because I had a computer science background as well. I never
Oh, right
met
on.
somebody who are that creative,
Oh, well,
or
thank you.
do this kind of transition, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think my wife said the same thing, the same kind of
Mm.
things. She never met a funny mechanical engineer, is what she told me, I think. Uh, I guess I was funny at one time, but yeah, I think it's great. I mean, like I said, once I made the switch and became an assistant cameraman, I realized at the same time, I bought my own camera and started making my own videos because
Mm.
at that level, there's people in this town and in this country where even at like, if somebody hired me tomorrow to work for the NFL and do a cool shoot with, you know, uh, you know, somebody, like like Drew Brees or something like that, do an interview with Drew Brees, I would think about it and I would say, I know people that are 10 times better at this than I am that I would recommend. And then I'll come on and be an assistant cameraman just because I know that their quality of work is so good. So
Ah,
for
okay.
me to be an assistant cameraman for those like Emmy award winning guys that I look up to in this industry is really important. So I do a lot of assistant cameraman work, and there's another job called DIT, which is digital imaging technician,
Okay,
which
okay.
at its lowest level is the person who takes the memory card out of the camera and just backs it up and makes sure there's
Mm.
several backups for the production and for whoever need the editor and stuff like that, and organizes all the hard drive stuff. And another level to that is like on-site color correction. So there was a little bit of technical knowledge, a little bit of color science behind a lot of that stuff that I had to learn how to do. But I wanted to do that professionally because it granted me the opportunity to work with these
Mm.
guys and learn
Mm, mm,
directly
mm.
from what I considered to be the best in the business. Because if I want to be good at this, I should learn from those guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. So what are your where are you, what at the level are you at? Like, are you still doing a lot of the assistant kind of work, or are you kind of doing, like, what is your majority of the time that you're spending on in terms of what you
Sure.
do?
Yeah, my goal is to just be like an independent cinematographer who does mostly sports documentaries or interviews and
Mm.
takes that home and maybe edits it for, like I said, NFL or NHL or some big sports outlet. So yes, I would definitely take those assistant cameraman roles and DIT roles for for specific people or specific jobs. And I think I've worked my way up and earned the right to be able to kind of pick and choose those kind of jobs. And like I said, I'd like, last season I did, it was David Goggins. Do you know who that is? He's like a
No idea.
motivational speaker, long distance runner guy. and we did like a lead in for the NFL Network, and he kind of just came on camera and said, "Welcome to Week 9," and it's really cool and dramatic. That cinematographer is G. John Slagle, and he's super top of the line and does like a lot of stuff for NFL, and for him, I'll do anything. You know what I mean? Like if he wants me to just carry the camera and stand next to him so I can watch how he does things and how he lights the scene and how he directs the actor or anything. I think I'm always trying to learn. So yes, I would absolutely take more assistant cameraman roles for sure.
So you're kind of wanting to go into the sports cinematography kind of niche, and you want to kind of continue to go deep in that path.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, video production is really important to me, and I think the best videos are always sports. And the reason why is there's always drama in sports. Somebody wins and somebody loses.
That's true.
If I'm doing a documentary about the guy who gets knocked out on Saturday night, I'm thinking that's still a great ending. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he showed up. He's a great guy. I spent all week with him, and now he's laying on the mat. But it's still a great story. And I think sports has the drama. I think it's fantastic.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I never thought about video production on YouTube. Can link to this because I think there's now you kind of inspires me a little bit because I always think YouTube video is just YouTube videos. Like just take yourself and then just take, but like you explain sports cinematography is more of almost like it's more like a film production. Like
totally,
you explain it in a much bigger way than YouTube. Just to me now is a very small thing, but I can see like how big could it become.
Sure,
and
yeah,
I really like that.
If you've ever watched like the Mic'd Up on the NHL channel on YouTube, yeah. That is a very complicated production. That is a sound guy showing up early to give the equipment manager a very specific microphone that the equipment manager will wire into their pads before they put them on. That's, sound guy, 2 camera guys, an assistant, a director, a producer. That's a lot of people there just specifically to watch one player talk during the entirety of the game. And then there's DITs in the background, offloading the footage and syncing everything. Like there's a lot going on just to make a 3-minute video of somebody talking on the ice.
I think that would lead into very good topics that I've been also wanting to ask is,
cool.
How would you suggest, or first of all, how would be a good production team to wire up all these things on their players? How do they link it in? Do you know any like tips and tricks that they do there?
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive. That's the first thing I could tell you. A lot of the stuff they do is immensely overpriced for what you're trying to accomplish, because it seems like you would just need a little camera and follow the guy around the ice. But I mean, you're talking about, Emmy award-winning cinematographer who's on his knees next to the boards with a $40,000 lens and a $100,000 camera, and he's there just to capture things like that. So the NHL level is incredibly extreme. For the hobbyists and YouTubers, I mean, there's a lot you can do. I mean, for me, I think the most important thing is just getting some sort of stagnant shot of yourself. If you're a goalie trying to make a YouTube channel, I think the first step is either put a camera on a tripod on the bench and just point it at you. That way you have all of that coverage. Or what I like to do is put one in the net because I just think it's a better, more dramatic angle. So I think the first step is just get a camera, any camera. Like any camera works, like realistically speaking. There's some bad cameras you shouldn't buy. I mean, you should get at least 24 frames a second in your camera. Some of them, they sell a lot lower than that, and I don't understand why, but and just start recording. I mean, that's the first step. Just get the content. And then for me, that's kind of what I did. I just kind of figured out what I wanted to do with it along the way.
Couple of things I want to kind of recap and summarize and internalize. So you mentioned about get a camera that support more than 24 frames per second, and then put one on the bench that points towards you so you get the better coverage pointing at you as a goalie.
Right.
And then put one in the net, which is behind you, which have in your opinion, a better angle, more dramatic kind of angle. Okay.
Yeah, I think just getting the content, you don't necessarily need a goal of what you're going to do with it, because I have content on my hard drive that no one will ever see. You know what I mean? Because I want it. It's for me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So even
Yes.
if it is just for you, it's totally acceptable. Like just I'm pretty sure you're going to ask this eventually, but the point of my channel was for me to get better at hockey. Like that was the
Mm.
bottom line. The reason I made the YouTube channel, or the reason I started filming myself to begin with, which is the first step I'm talking about here, is to go back and watch the footage and see where my feet were and see how I slid over and see how I moved across and see how comfortable I was with the butterfly slide and how fast I got back up. And I started watching and rewatching all of my stuff because for me, I don't have a coach. You know what I mean? I'm in a beer league. You know what I mean? Like I show up, play the game, and then I go home. That's my 90 minutes of hockey a week. And for me to see it on tape, I can watch it over and over and over and realize and see just in my own eyes where I'm making mistakes.
What do you think the difference between, because I have been putting my camera behind the net instead of
Mm-hmm.
on the net. It's
That's
just my
cool.
own personal perspective. Is one is I felt like I have a better angle to look further more ice if I put it at the backboard rather than
Right.
on the net. I never put it on the net because I just felt I think I want to see more. And
Yeah, I
when I first
absolutely.
started, yeah.
Because if you
What's your
could see
thought
the
about?
play develop, then if you could see the entire play develop from a
Mhm.
camera angle like that, I
Yeah.
think that's even better because you can figure out even more information of how you reacted to specific situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's kind of the what I think this is a common trend that I see now is everybody take videos because they started off not because they want to start a YouTube channel, but they wanted to start with improving themselves, understanding how they look. Because when you're on the ice, it's very different. Like the way that the thing you think about, the thing you thought about, it's very different than when you are viewing as a third person point of view. And
Exactly.
at this point, I haven't been going back to the ice. I still watch my own videos and really see about like how I used to do and how what all I've changed over the month. And it's very inspiring to understand what I need to do next, what I could improve on next.
Totally. Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned one thing that little things that you said you never get coach. You never got coach in as a goalie or what do you mean by that?
I've had hockey coaches. I've had coaches in college, and I've had coaches actually in Major League roller hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And but beyond that, it was all beer league. So I've never been coached. Like I've never been to a camp because when I started playing hockey, I was a broke college student. So I never took the time to spend the money to do. I always wanted to. I mean, I would love for somebody to show up and teach me drills and stuff like that. Even it's funny after the live stream that I did the other night.
Yeah, yeah.
One my defenseman who is a goaltender, he's like, okay,
Uh-huh.
let's do some goalie drills, and I said, great, awesome. So he explained the drill to me. We did it a few times, and my legs were killing me because
Uh-huh.
I don't practice, I don't work out, I just show up and play hockey. So
Right.
for me to have that kind of thing, it really was eye opening. And I do watch a lot of videos as far as like practicing. You know, I watch Bonesy's channel, and Future Pro
Mm.
Goaltending is a great channel for
Yes.
learning how to get better at hockey. And I think for me, that's even watching that is the best coaching I've ever gotten because I've never had someone face to face to me tell me what I'm doing right and wrong.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. That's I think how a lot of adult goalie is when they started is to watch other people's YouTube, and now there are quite a bit of great YouTubers who are I think explaining some basic stuff. Like I hope I started off watching YouTube videos with them. Like I could totally do that, and I actually end up spending money to just basic coaching to get at least the footwork done properly.
Great.
And it helps a lot. Like because I did not go into coaching, and then I injured myself the first time, and I was like, damn, like no, I need some like legit coaching, not to get improved, but at least not easily get myself injured because I don't know how to move around the crease.
Right, right. First two rules of hockey: have fun, don't get hurt.
Very true. Yes, I like that. Going deep into your YouTube channel a little bit, I have kind of going through the videos that you have made so far. I really like the really short ones, the 2 minute, 3 minute ones where you just explain just one thing and go from there.
Yes.
What are the thoughts behind it? Like when you're coming with these type of content, like just 2-3 minutes, very short, in a little settings that you have.
Sure.
Yeah.
All of those videos, every single one of those are written beforehand. And when I show up and do them, I film 5 of them at a time. And
Okay.
that way, everything's already set up once. We do it for 2 hours, and then I'm out of there. So all of that is done beforehand. It's like Judge Judy's films like a whole season in like 2 days. You know what I mean? But for me, all of those written subjects, those are lessons that I've learned along the way. Like that's the things that I figured out on my own, or have read somewhere, or have seen content specifically about, that I learned over the years that I wish that I knew when I first started playing hockey. That's the inspiration for every single one of those videos. And your comment on shorter videos under 2 minutes, I think that's incredibly important in content creation in general. Keeping the videos shorter, I think keeps the audience engaged, because if I see somebody who's starting to talk and then I look up and there's still 45 minutes left to go, that's, I don't know if I have time for that. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to condense everything and keep things lighthearted and interesting and fun. I mean, I'm just having fun. I'm going to be honest with you with those videos.
One thing that I learned a lot is I think anyone could deliver a lot of things in just a 2-minute video. And like all your 2-minute video is not something that is just like, oh, 2 minute gone, like you're done. But like how you are conceptualizing a lot of different things in just that 2 minute, I think that's a lot for everybody to learn from. And one thing that I've been starting to doing on my channel is you heard about YouTube Shorts, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of YouTube Shorts on my channel, and funny enough, those were the most watched videos that I got on my channel. And I just got one video that just got past 1,000 views, like as of yesterday.
Nice.
I think that's one thing is because it's a new feature in YouTube. I probably got featured more than a regular length video. But secondly, I think people does love to watch these kind of short type videos more than before. Like more and more people will just scroll.
Yeah, even on Instagram, I don't think I scroll. I just stories, and then move on.
True. It's just like one story after the other.
Exactly.
And I'm sure YouTube did their research on understanding like this is the behavior that people are going through now. And you know what? Like YouTube was known for their long length video, and now they decide to do this and test it out. To me, that tells me a big thing about how these short videos actually means. Yeah.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for you for a second. So I was part of a crew. I was an assistant cameraman recently for a Pirates Booty commercial, and it's like a snack. I don't know if you have them up in Canada, but it's like a cheese puff. And they had these 2 kids in the commercial, and these 2 kids are YouTube stars. The channel that they're part of is called the Ohana Adventure, and it's just like a family vlog kind of fun adventure kind of thing. And the dad was there talking to me, who's also a star of the channel, and their entire income comes from the YouTube channels. And I asked him, we were sitting now next to each other, not doing anything, lunchtime or something. And I said, I have a YouTube channel. I'm like, how do I get viewers? How do I get, subscribers? How do I do this? And he said completely the opposite of this conversation that we're having, you and I right now. It's that the longer content is what YouTube prefers. And YouTube tends to promote things that are like 10 minutes or longer. So for me with my channel, I like the compressed 2-minute, tips and tricks and gear reviews and whatever it is, play breakdowns. But I also keep my live game commentary up to like 10 minutes just to keep the content for, hopefully the YouTube algorithm or however they do it. But the one piece of advice that guy had was the longer content is more, favorable from YouTube.
Did they say anything about whether you should, like, because that's another thing that I heard a lot is, when you do YouTube Shorts, you better have a separate channel for that because you can keep the long version of it. What's your thoughts on that? Should we just separate them? Should we keep them
so
together?
I think as far as like digital marketing and video production in general, I think you should be on all platforms and creating things at length that makes sense for each one. So it's for me, I don't have time to do this. I wish I did. I wish I had time
Yeah.
to do all this. But if I make a 10-minute live game commentary for YouTube, that goes up, I'm mic'd, I'm commentating on the game, I'm talking about the saves that I made, I'm showing instant replays of the saves that I didn't, whatever, I'm learning. In addition to that, I should make a 1-minute version of that and put that on Instagram. And then I should make a couple like 10-second versions of that and put it on YouTube stories and single plays on Instagram stories and Facebook stories. I don't know what they call it, but, and you should adhere to each one of those channels, each one of those, as far as like digital marketing channels, even like TikTok, you should, in order to get the best traction, you should adhere to each one of those social media content, platforms and everything along the way. For me, I don't have time to do this. I would love to, you know what I mean? But it's very difficult to do all that stuff. But if you're able to, I think that is the best way to garnish views and get subscribers and get people to your channel and to like kind of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah, I definitely want to hear more from different people's perspective, and I think one big concept that I learned from you and I learned from other people I was kind of interviewing on as well is how can you repurpose the same content in multiple platforms based on that platforms, like you said, like TikTok. You won't put like a 3-minute video on the TikTok. You just
Right.
put a short one, but if it's just a highlight of something,
Sure.
you already have it. It's just the editing part that might takes the most time. And I definitely see that there's getting tractions on my channel because of me doing that. So if time is one, but I do think for anyone who are hoping to grow their channel, get more exposure, like I'm one of a unconventional guy. I'm more than happy to try out new things, try out crazy ideas and see if it stick. Like we talk about, just experiment and see if it stick, right?
Yeah. I feel it. Yeah, I mean, I think everything I've created so far on the Goalie channel I'm just trying things. There was I think I posted on the Facebook page, which is the YouTube Goalie Facebook page, which I'm incredibly grateful for, by the way. I don't know if I'd still be doing this if I didn't know there was a cool community of other goaltenders making YouTube content. I think it's fantastic. But there was a suggestion on there about do a video about moving from the forward position to goaltender position. And so I wrote a long script, and it was one of the ones I already filmed that I'm in the process of editing, but I'm also moving. So look out for that in a few weeks. That was a YouTube suggestion. I think when I made like a quick commercial for my channel, somebody literally wrote, "I'm really looking forward to the play breakdowns." And I said, okay, so I made more of those, so I think it's also about like listening to kind of what people are paying attention to. I made a video review on the CCM face mask that I wear inside my cage. And I got my first dislike that I've ever gotten. and it hurt me. You know what I mean? I took it very personally, but I understand that, the gear reviews are tough to watch, especially even though I feel like I was incredibly honest in the video, I kind of was like, it's up to you. Like I didn't say one way or the other. I think if I was very dramatic and said, you need this, you have to wear this, everybody wear this, maybe I wouldn't have gotten that. So for me, it's lessons learned along the way. Like I said, I'm throwing darts at the board and seeing what sticks. I'm just having a great time, really.
One of the things that I learned for sure, it's getting haters is actually a good sign.
Right.
It means that you're getting people attention sometimes, right? Like I would rather have 1 or 2 haters tell me, "Hey, I watch you, but I hate you," than like they just watch it for 10 seconds and just leave. You get what I mean?
Right. One of my most memorable hockey experiences of all time. I was playing Major League roller hockey in Philadelphia, and I played for the New Jersey Riot. And I'm talking, this must have been 2001. And we were playing the Marple Gladiators, their home opener of the year, and they were the favorites. They had roller hockey legends like C.J. Yoder and like guys who played for like Team USA, like these guys who were just legends of roller hockey. And I remember skating out, and I was sitting there at the edge of the boards, like I'm getting ready to just run out as fast as I can. They open the doors and the music starts playing, and I'm running out, and there must have been 300 people there in the audience, and everybody booed us. And I thought it was the greatest thing on the planet. I was skating as hard as I could, and they were booing, and I'm like, yes, this is amazing. So that, yeah, it is funny to hear the haters, especially in times like that.
Mm. Yeah, I think everybody go through those moments when they get the first dislike, get their first hate. You're like, damn it! Like I had the same thought when I got my first hate, the first dislike. I'm like, shit! Like
Yeah.
I need to make sure I get more likes to dilute. Like it's not
Exactly. Yeah,
one
yeah.
and one. It's like
You log on
but
your other
then,
email accounts and you hit like just to balance it out, because I've done that.
yeah. I have like 4 accounts.
Yeah,
Constantly.
exactly. Yeah, there's 4 likes
But I
right
don't
away.
do that anymore. I just, it's a self-satisfying kind of actions. It's not really doing anything good to the channel, to be honest. But it's one of those things that over time I start to like, hey, it's all about the interaction that you have. Because one dislike, I think YouTube doesn't count as a negative thing. It count as it's an interaction. So
Sure.
like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just another action that people does on that video that actually helps the channel in some way. So
I
definitely,
believe that. Yeah, that sounds good.
yeah. I want to dissect a little bit the way you take videos, because I do see that there is a difference between a amateur YouTubers like myself versus you having the experience in the professional settings.
Yes.
How did you take videos right now? Like, just let's talk about the two
Sure.
3 minutes, that the one, like how do you set up the cameras and all that.
Yeah. So, like I said, I have a friend who runs a video production company in town called Mr. Camera, and
Mm-hmm.
he's been a friend of mine for years. I've done countless jobs for him. He does a lot of like news gathering reports for things like all the live stuff at Caesars. So for me, I've been front row for like Backstreet Boys, J Lo, Gwen Stefani, Mariah Carey, and I've been working for him for all these things. But
Uh-huh.
that's the type of things that
Wow.
he does in entertainment.
Uh,
So I'm very lucky in my friends, is I guess the short answer. But so what we do is we set up in his garage where all of his equipment is, and we have two Sony F55s, which is a relatively expensive camera. And he runs one, and my friend John Dietrich, who is a professional director of photography, who's done television and a lot of these entertainment interviews and live shows for 30 years. This guy has like 30 years experience in television. So I have him light it. We have two Sony F55s, one straight on, which is a big wide of me in the room, and then the other one is kind of like a slash angle, which is to my side. And then audio wise, we have a boom mic that comes over my head that runs to a recorder deck, which is all
mm-hmm.
equipment that Dan owns and he uses professionally regularly. In addition to that, we have two Astra 6x, which are like a 1x1 or like a 1 foot by 1 foot LED light, and one comes up over my head. And then there's another one behind me to get my hair light.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, we have two quasar tubes, which is like a really cool thing that they came out with just a few years ago. It's a LED tube that it's just like a tube of light, and you can make it any color in the spectrum of color. So we put those in the background, and I make them orange because that's the accent color of my pads. Philadelphia Flyers, go Flyers. And so we make that in the background just to get a little bit of like flair for it. I hang my pads in the back. I hang my gloves and skates up on the shelves behind me. And then I have a desk in front of me, which is actually how I do it is I have the scripts written on my laptop, and then I have a mouse on my right hand, and I can have my laptop hooked up to a monitor that's above the camera. And
Okay.
what I do
Okay.
is now that it's above the camera, I can see my laptop screen above the camera. So I read the script, and I kind of do it paragraph by paragraph and just scroll the mouse as I go through it.
Out of all the settings that you have, of course, it's a very like high cost, expensive settings, crazy
Sure.
lighting, audio. What would be the most important piece of the equipment out of all that? If anyone's just starting up, what would you
Sure.
advise them to have first?
I think the backbreaker for making videos, the part that ruins videos, actually, any video that you make is audio. If there's bad audio or
Audio.
something sounds bad and you sound bad, if the audio doesn't work, the video will never work. So if you're doing something where you want to hear yourself or you want to hear other people, or there's something along the lines with audio, I think that is definitely where you cannot go wrong. Like your camera can get hit with a puck. It doesn't matter. So I did a video, the other videos that I do, sorry, I'm all over the place, but is with a GoPro that's connected to a battery, which also has a wireless mic receiver in it that's connected to a audio recorder. And that's all in a little bag that I just put in the net. And I just hit record on both things. And then I wear a mic in my chest protector. And that's how I do my game commentaries. Now, when a puck hit that bag one time, it didn't affect the GoPro, but it broke my audio recorder. Now, I had all this footage of me playing hockey, but no commentary behind it. So for that, I had to change the pace and do something else. So when I didn't have the audio, it kind of messed me up more than when I didn't have the video.
Very good example, because I heard a lot of these. Like, oh, audio is the most important thing. And I think maybe it's more of a psychology thing. Like, I think we all started off with the audio quality first, and then we look at how things, like, we supplement that with the vision, with the eyes, what we see. And that's something I've been focusing on myself. What would be the next thing? Now audio is taken care of, it's really good. What's the next?
Probably if you can get multiple camera angles, it's incredibly, it looks better, first of all. And I think it helps a lot in the edit. Like those stand-up 2-minute videos that I do, the talk-throughs, I have 2 cameras because if there's a part in the script where I go, and I kind of trail off, I can cut that out and just switch cameras. So it's clean and it's shorter. It compresses everything. So for me, when I do the live game commentaries, it's one camera. It's one camera bust because those, either it works or it doesn't. Originally, I started doing those to get better at hockey. That was my only purpose with that. But I think I try and make them entertaining and lighthearted, and I talk to my teammates and things like that. But if it was up to me, I would have 3 or 4 cameras at different angles. And so, and a little bit of trivia, the name Goalie was actually, I came up with that because originally I was going to have a camera on my helmet. I had a little 3D printed mount for my helmet for like a first person view drone camera. And that was like that had a wireless receiver that was Velcroed the back of my helmet. And that went to a recorder on the bench and I could never get it to work. It just wouldn't work. So for me, I just started throwing the camera in the net. And I don't know, I thought that was, it ended up being decent content as it was. So I think the next step above audio to improve any kind of video production is not just a camera, but multiple cameras.
I think one thing that I never understood why the multiple cameras before was like, what's the point? Like, you know, you have like, yeah, it's good, but like it's not necessary. But now I feel like it's necessary. From my point of view, it's not because, oh yeah, you can play around with the angle. It's not that. To me, it's more about sometimes one camera could die out of nowhere. It's more like a backup. Like what, like especially when you're on the ice, you have zero control. If one camera died, too bad. You can't do anything about it. 2, it's sometimes you would never know certain angle actually make a difference. And even now I have 3 cameras here. One way it would look better than the other, and I could choose. It gives me more options when I'm doing video editing.
Exactly.
And I like the aspects of it. I really like the aspects of it. I don't feel I'm restricted. I can be more creative about it.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's great. Yeah, I watched one of these not too long ago. Actually, my favorite video of yours is how do you play with a low win percentage, which is amazing. You just don't look at the stats, because for me, even all my live game commentary is from the same team, the Vultures, and I think we played 20 games this season. We might have won 2. We're not a very skillful team, so the idea of just having fun and enjoying playing and getting better should be your main focus in hockey, and you should just ignore all the stats and things like that, I think, to be best. The most important stat as a goaltender is wins, but if you're having fun along the way, I don't think it matters anymore. And I think that's the importance of beer leagues. Beer leagues, you can just go out and have fun and enjoy yourself with your friends.
Is one of them. And I think the other thing is stats is just showing you one aspect of the game. Like, it's just one, but there's so many parts that you can impact the game. Not only you making save, but how can you talk to the team, communicate with the team, read the play? Because we are on a very special place when we're on the ice. We see everything.
Totally.
Even the players on the bench, they only see like sideways. We see the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing like this. So to me, it's a very unique angle that we could impact, and that's why I don't freaking look at the stats. Like I
Yeah.
used to think a lot. I'm like, oh, only like 70 something save percentage. It drive me down. But then I was like, what's the point? And
Yeah.
the fact that I know that like the scorekeeper there, they're not doing a great job tracking exactly. Like
Right.
sometimes you make 40 saves, they set you only make 15. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah,
Like,
that's tough.
drive me
It's
nuts.
tough. Yeah. I mean, I think long term, if you're trying to have a career in goaltending and trying to get better, it's great to keep all those information and see how you've improved over the years in different aspects.
Yes,
But for the
yes.
most part, if you're going game to game and just hanging out with your friends, I mean, it's just hang out and have fun, man.
Yeah, hockey is definitely one of the sports that I eventually feel the positive things about being part of a team sports. Like
Yes.
it's a team thing. It's not an individual thing. And I'm not here to call out goalies or anything, but like I really feel like for anyone who loved this position, I saw a lot of the how to say we have a unique personality where we love that position, but we don't really like to interact with the team for some reason because we're just so focused on ourselves. We want to improve. But
It's
then
different.
I think if we unlock ourselves to really get the team involved in our world, I think that's when the fun really comes in. That's
Totally.
kind of how I
Absolutely.
see it.
Yeah. And I like to just cheer people on. Like it's in my live game commentaries. I'm surprised at how many times I say, good job, great pass, good
Yeah.
clear, like things like that. Like it just those little things like really help everybody, I think, not
Oh
just
yeah.
you as a goaltender or the player you're talking to, but to hear people saying things like that, even the other team will hear you saying things like that and they're not going to slash you. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to
Yes.
be upset with you. They're going to come up and say, hey, good game, and tap your pads. I think in general in hockey. And it's funny because you said as a goaltender, I think that goaltending is an interesting position because you're tested and you pass or fail every time. Like I said, when I moved out here to change careers, it didn't
Mm-hmm.
go well the first year, but I learned a
Mm-hmm.
lot by failing. Will Smith has a great speech about failing forward. And I
Yes.
think goaltending, every shot that you have is a test just like that. So either you pass and make the save or you learn. And I think that's really important how many times a game you can do that as a goaltender. It's just there or it isn't. Like you make the save or you don't. Like that's the test. And I think to improve as a goaltender, you can improve on every shot.
Yes. Yes. I agree with that. Um, One thing I want to make sure I don't forget asking is
Sure.
what is your cameras? Well, you talk about the camera setup, but the audio setup that you have when you're on the ice. How did you
Sure.
record your
Yeah, sure.
voice
So I have a GoPro
commentary?
Hero 7 in the net, which is capturing just natural audio. And then I have a little battery pack in
Yeah.
the bag. I have like a padded bag in the net, and that's connected to that just because the batteries in the GoPro don't last that long. And inside the bag, I have a Tascam DR40, which is an audio recorder with two XLR inputs. It's just a little recorder that you could put an SD card in. And then I have an XLR cable that connects to a Sennheiser receiver, which is like a lavalier mic. So the
Mm,
lavalier mic is two pieces. It's the receiver, which plugs in, which is like a standard 3.5 millimeter, cable, and then that goes to XLR in, and then I hit record on that. And then in my chest protector on the back, in the back straps, I strap on the transmitter, and that just goes on my back. And then I run the cable through the shoulder protection, and then I actually clip it on the front of my Warrior shoulder pad.
okay.
And these
Okay.
are things that I just had. Like I owned these things. So for me, as far as like spending the money to do something like that, it wasn't ideal, but there are cheaper ways to do this, but that's kind of my go-to thing. And then I hit record on the camera, I hit record on the audio receiver, and then I skate away from the net a little bit, turn around, and I slap my stick 2 or 3 times on the ice because the audio
Okay.
reception.
Yeah.
So the way I sync the audio in the video is you can, like a clapperboard in a video in like a movie, you
Yes.
see the clap happen and you hear it in the audio. So whoever's
Mm-hmm.
editing it can sync everything from there on out together. And then I record
Right.
once a period, I stop it when I go to the bench. I pick everything up, throw it in my glove, go to the bench, go to the other end of the ice, set it up, hit record, slap my stick on the ice, and just play.
So to recap, you have a wireless uh, receiver of a mic, of a lav mic that you have. The transmitter is at the back. And where are you hiding them again? On the net
I have
side?
a little padded bag. It's in the net. It's either in the net
It's
or
in
on
the
top
net.
of the net. It depends on where sometimes I hang the GoPro from the top of the net. But it's always in a padded bag. The bag is actually made to go on your belt loop to hold an extra lens if you're shooting something like on the fly and you need another lens. That's what the bag is, but it's padded and it's nice and it holds everything. And that's the simplest solution that I found for carrying all that stuff to and from the crease.
Do you feel safe just putting that thing? Because you have a lot of expensive equipment on that thing.
Like I said, it's funny. I have a bunch of recordings that I got to release of the referees coming up to me and saying, "Are you sure you want to put this in the net? Are you sure about this? That camera's going to get destroyed. You're going to blow it up." And I'll be honest with you, man. I run a video production company here, which is just myself. So for me, I have all this stuff, and I'm trying to produce the best possible content I can make. And I think that's one of the advantages that I have. So I'm willing to risk it. I mean, I had all this stuff, and also the biggest reason that I love shooting this stuff and editing these things and just using the program to edit it, even though nobody's paying me to do it, is practice, man. I mean, like, these are my two favorite hobbies, like making videos and having fun playing hockey. So if I'm able to do both of those at the same time, I'll spend the money. And I mean, like, I already lost one of those Tascam recorders previously this season. My one bit of advice is, if you are going to bring all this stuff to the net to record yourself, wait until warm-ups is over. Because the one time I broke something, it was on the net during warm-ups, and I was out of the crease stretching, and somebody just said, "I'm going to knock this water bottle off."
Yeah.
And then I watched as my recorder went through the air and smashed all over the ice right before the game started. So don't wait until warm-ups are over and then bring everything out on top of the net.
Oh, damn. That was an interesting story.
I'll have to send you the clip, because I think I cursed him out in the clip too as well. I'll send it to you.
Seeing the baby just like boom.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah.
In slow motion. You have to make it in slow motion too.
Oh yeah, I think I got that, because I happened to have the camera mounted to my helmet that day, and I was looking at the net while I was stretching and just watching it, just hundreds of dollars float through the air.
Yeah, all the animation, the money.
Right. Yeah.
That would be fun to watch. Okay, so last section kind of I want to talk about is the future of your YouTube channel. Like, now you have all these commentary thing, and then you have the off ice, the little tutorial, your thoughts. What's next? What's missing from your YouTube channel that you want to continue to or add onto your channel?
Yeah, I want to do more live stream. And one of the big live stream things that I want to try to do, and I've talked to audio engineers in town, like real professional audio guys, on how exactly I can get this done. And it's expensive or difficult. And my idea is to have a 4-camera live stream, camera in the net, camera in the other net, camera facing each goaltender. Both goaltenders are mic'd, and we can hear each other from both ends.
Oh, damn. Nice.
So we can have a conversation kind of like this, not to take your idea here, but to have an interview while playing hockey. And of course, there'll be a gentleman's agreement of not trying to noon in each other and, mess each other up while we're playing goals, but remain positive and support each other and say, "Great save. How did you do that? How did you do this? Let's talk about it. Let's break it down," while either the game or the practice is going on. I think the thing that I'm missing from my live streams and from my live game commentary is I need somebody else to talk to. Like, I need to feed off of somebody, or even if somebody's on the bench. I mean, ideally, I would love to do the same exact kind of thing with a skater on the ice. But I think the first step is to do the other goaltender, because to have a skater on the ice, I would need a camera guy following him at all times. So the difficulty level gets really high. So I think the most basic way of doing this is to have the other goaltender and talk to him during the game. So as far as like what I'm going to try and do eventually, that's one of those things. Otherwise, the channel goals are to keep going. I mean, I've gotten a great response, really positive aspect from the goalie Facebook community, and everyone I spoken to has been really positive for what I'm doing and things like that. So to continue to share lessons that I've learned along the way and just fun ideas, I think, like I said, I'm just having a good time with it. So just continue having a good time. And I guess I'll stop when I stop having a good time with it. But to promote hockey, to promote goaltending, to promote the idea of just getting better at something by continually being tested, as I said, and making sure that the pass fail is either a pass and I understand what I did, or a fail and I learned something from it. So I think just the general idea of watching myself play goalie is that, and hopefully the channel will grow and I'll have bigger and better ideas and longer videos and just keep having fun, man.
It will for sure. Like I have no doubt. It's just a matter of time. It's like YouTube is one of those things that I really feel that a lot of people feel it's really hard to grow. I don't focus on the hard to grow part. I focus on how can I make things better. And when you focus on that, subscribers, views will come. Like I have no doubt about it. And when you're doing that collaboration live stream thing, I'll fly down if I can. I'll fly down. I'll be the first one doing that. I love.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It would be so fun. I love that idea. If you're able to do that, because isn't that what the NHL All-Star game? I think they did something like that. They mic'd up somebody like a goalie, and they talking to the commentary guy and all that, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, like I said, that's like unlimited budget. I have I under what I'm trying to do. There's a feasible way of doing it, right? But again, I once I have the time to sit down and figure it out, I will totally do it. But when I talk to the professional sound guys, they say, you know, the equipment that they told me I require to do this, like I'll never be able to afford. But there is fun ways to be able to try and do this. Whether or not it works, I guess we'll find out. But I'm looking forward to trying.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good way to kind of end the show here. And for those of you who have not followed Bert on his YouTube channel, like I really think he has a very underrated YouTube channel that not a lot of people know yet. So definitely search. Is it the Goalie Eye on YouTube?
Goalie Eye, yeah. It originally was the Goalie Eye, and then I remember that moment from The Social Network when they said not the Facebook, just Facebook. So I kept it at Goalie Eye. YouTube Goalie Eye, and on Instagram I try and post there as much as possible too.
Got it. So definitely go follow him. I think you guys will see a very unique style of editing. Like it's just, to me, it's a very unique style, and that makes him so special. And that's why I invited him to this show to begin with, because I really see some really unique thing that he's doing there, and I want to know about his stories. And I'm sure everybody learned a lot from just this conversation, seeing how you think and how you set up your stuff.
Right on. Yeah. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the kind words, man. This is cool. You got a great channel as well. Everybody like and subscribe to Felix.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So just to end it off, so I will continue to post exclusive content about my beer league journey. When all the leagues, everything comes back, I'll continue to show more of the highlights there. But I have a lot more ideas that I want to put content on my YouTube channel as well. So full show highlights will also be posted on my YouTube channel as well. And if you have any questions, suggestions, feel free to join the Discord channel that I have called the Asian Goalie Community. It's a Discord server, and you can follow me on Instagram at the Asian Goalie as well. And we're going to finish off this theme, the goalie, the story behind the goal camp. Next week, we're going to have another PS, a pretty big YouTubers on the beer league goalie side, also joining the show next week. And I'll keep it secret. I'll post it later in the week and have you guys look forward to. And it will be fun to close it off this theme next week. So I appreciate Bert. Thanks again for joining us. I know it's a busy schedule that you have with all the moving stuff and going on. So
yeah, I am moving back to Philadelphia. So if there's anybody in the Philadelphia area who needs a goalie or wants to do some video work, let me know.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. All right, we'll end the show here. I'll see everybody on the next week, and we'll finish it off.
Right on. Thanks again.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you guys. Bye-bye.